Welcome back. Did you know that plastic is everywhere, even in the clothes we wear? From polyester shirts to elastic waistbands, synthetic fabrics are a significant source of plastic pollution. Plastic Free July is a global initiative promoting a shift away from single use plastics. Here now is the Associate Director of Sustainability of Cotton Incorporated, Stephen Pires. Stephen, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Now, can you tell me a little bit more about Plastic Free July and its overall goal, main objectives?
Yeah, sure. The Plastic Free July is just an initiative set up by the Plastic Free Foundation. And the intent of this is fairly simple. It's just to get rid of plastic waste and eliminate it from our daily life.
Now, I was very surprised to hear that plastic could be in our clothes. Can you explain that further? How does plastic end up being part of our clothing?
Right. I mean, some people might not realize this, but um, depending on the type of fiber that is in your clothing, so say if you check the label and see cotton or polyester, those polyester garments are actually all plastic. So this is a source material that is derived from petroleum, and that's the same thing that you'd use to make a plastic bottle. Also, you have other forms of synthetic fibers like acrylic and nylon too. So it's really just kind of everywhere in apparel.
And can you give us some examples of some synthetic materials used in apparel? Like, what are some common everyday things that these materials could be within in our clothing?
Right. So again, if you look for the label and you see things like polyester or nylon or acrylic, those are all synthetic materials, and you could essentially equate that to a plastic garment, more or less. I mean, it's very similar. Chemically, it's the same thing, essentially.
Now, could you describe the environmental impact of plastic waste from synthetic clothing, both in terms of micro and macroplastics?
Yeah, so a lot of people also don't realize when you wash and wear your clothing, these little fibers actually break off and shed from the garment. And for a synthetic piece of clothing, this would actually be a microplastic. So again, a small piece of plastic. And those accumulate in the environment. We actually find them all over the place, from the Arctic to, in things like sea salt and honey. It's really unfortunate.
Now, I want to talk about the fact that a lot of our clothing today is made with polyester, and I think that it may be hard to find clothing that have fibers such as cotton in them. Could you talk about how either or both of those contribute to plastic pollution, and compare them to each other?
Yeah, so for a cotton garment, again, this is a natural fiber. It grows in a field. So it's a plant material. So that fiber itself actually has no plastic. That actual fiber is all natural materials, where these synthetic garments, that fiber itself is made of that petroleum product that is plastic. And yeah, that's kind of the main thing. If you think about it in that way, to avoid plastic pollution, we need to choose natural fibers.
Now, throughout your work, how aware are consumers of this issue of microplastics in their clothing, and what steps are they currently taking to address the issue?
We've done research at Cotton Incorporated that shows about 70% of consumers are aware of microplastics, and this does factor into their purchase decisions in making new garment purchases. So it's really having an impact on consumers' behavior patterns. And I think as more and more research comes out, this is only going to cause them to understand this more and really, think with their pocketbook and try to make the right decision.
Now, what are some practical steps individuals can take to reduce their plastic footprint in their clothing choices?
The easiest thing to do is just to check the label, like I said earlier, and just really make sure you're looking for cotton and natural fibers. If you're seeing stuff like polyester in your clothing, then you are, essentially contributing eventually to this plastic leakage problem, plastic pollution at the end of the life of that apparel product. So check the label and look for cotton.
Now, I also want to talk about fast fashion. Have you found this contributes to the issue of plastics within our clothes, and how quickly we kind of go through fashion cycles. Have you found this in any of your research? And, in any way, how does it contribute to plastic pollution?
We just did a new study that evaluated the global apparel industry in terms of what their plastic pollution impact is. It's actually a staggering number. The majority of this is coming from synthetic garments, and it's actually generating about 7.4 million tons of plastic waste per year. And this is equivalent to about 820 Eiffel Towers worth of material. So this is a substantial amount. And again, if we try to really think about this, we need to do a better job at not buying too many pieces of clothing, especially synthetic ones, and just really eliminating this problem by not contributing to that issue.
Now, where can people go for more information about reducing plastic use in their lives and supporting Plastic Free July?
If you want more information on the science of sustainability in cotton, go to cottontoday.com. And to purchase cotton products and get more information about that, check out thefabricofourlives.com.
Now, what future trends or innovations do you see emerging in the apparel industry to address or combat plastic pollution?
There are definitely some trends emerging, but I think what we're trying to do is just educate the consumer, educate the textile manufacturers of this fact that plastics are leaking from our garments, whether that be big pieces of plastic from the synthetic apparel itself or these tiny pieces of microfibers that shed off. And what we've shown through our research is that those fibers and fabrics are not biodegradable. So these plastic fibers and fabrics, synthetic apparel, they don't biodegrade. Our research actually shows that cotton fibers and microfibers are biodegradable, and they readily biodegrade in all environments. So really, we just want to educate the industry on that topic and let consumers especially be aware of that too, because this is a really important concept for people to understand.
Now, in the concept of just people buying different clothes, people often think that better quality, such as cotton, tends to be a little bit more expensive. What are some ways we can combat this idea of thinking? Do these products tend to maybe last longer? Will it be better in the long run? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we have research that suggests also that cotton fabrics are more durable and they do last longer. So while they could be slightly more expensive, you know, they do last longer. And again, they're not contributing to this plastic problem. Everyone is concerned about, plastic bags, single-use plastics, all of these sort of issues. And if we can do our part in selecting natural fibers in our apparel, in our wardrobe, then we can contribute to that in eliminating some plastics out of our life.
Now, how can legislation and policy play a role in reducing plastic pollution from the clothing industry?
Yeah, I think that could be a avenue for this. At Cotton Incorporated, we provide research and promotion to the industry. So our research shows again that these fibers are degradable. Cotton fibers are biodegradable, whereas plastic fibers are not. So I think for anyone in that space, just keep that in mind, and those future decisions that are made. I mean, I think that's the key point for those individuals to point out.
Well, Stephen, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I definitely learned a lot, and I'm definitely going to think about the way I wear clothes and the clothes that I wear a little bit more often than I did before. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
For more information, you can visit the website at cottoninc.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open after this.